Most artists would probably agree art often imitates life. Painting, sculpture, music, even performance art reflects the time and culture in which it was created. The latest collection on view at the DeCordova Sculpture Park and Museum in Lincoln is a survey of the most current art from across New England. It also reveals a notable shift in perspective when compared with earlier shows. Here with more on this show is WGBH's arts editor, Jared Bowen. So what is this? What is the Biennial all about?
The Biennial is a survey every 2 years, of course, of what's going on in New England art. And part of it is a covert mission where a curator goes out and finds the best artists, the most provocative artists doing the most interesting things, like this maritime mural done completely in ballpoint pen for the DeCordova. This artist works in numbers. They go out and they survey all the New England states, and they get input from studios and galleries and artists, and they put together this collection. So here we have about 21 artists and groups that are represented in the DeCordova Biennial. Again, best of the new in art in New England.
All right, so what have you noticed? How has it changed since the last time they did this?
What's really interesting to me is we have obviously come out of this really tremendously heavy period over the last 10 years. And I have seen artists responding constantly to war, to the economy, to Occupy. The last time that I saw the DeCordova Biennial, this is what you were confronted with immediately: capitalism. Works for me, true or false, when you're supposed to vote, and this is by Steve Lambert, a Jamaica Plain artist. So this is what you were confronted with immediately. This time, I have to say, for the first time in years, I've noticed a levity. And so here you see, this is from this year's Biennial. This is a sign that says "Free Birds" outside, high art and higher art. I mean, these are humorous pieces. It's a humorous entry point, but it also has a message, free birds out in the environment. What's the commercialization? So I've noticed that you see less that has as serious a subject matter. Of course, artists will always respond to these issues, and it goes in trends. I mean, we talked about the 1980 show at the ICA not too long ago, where you saw a whole period where artists were responding to the AIDS crisis. But for once, I think we're seeing an exhale. We're seeing a little bit of breathing room.
Is that in part because we're coming out of a recession? I mean, is it really timed that? Because artists are thinking ahead. I mean, they've been working on these pieces for presumably months and sometimes years. I mean, are they projecting ahead? Yeah,
and I don't mean to say that they're not responding to this at all, but I think that they're feeling there may be a shift. Just like I've been talking about in this community in Boston, we feel a shift in the arts community where it suddenly has a voice. Perhaps artists are feeling that as well, so they're focusing on different things. You see some of the youngest artists are in their 20s in this show, because it does range from their 20s to artists who have a fully embodied career in their 60s. Perhaps the younger artists haven't been exposed to this as much. But we do see the serious side of some pieces. Amra Abbas is somebody who we see in this show, and she takes images of the Kaaba that she paints on postage-size stamps and then blows them up into these epic proportions. But this is all a message about, this is one of the most religious sites in the world, of course, the Kaaba in Mecca. This is something she knows extremely well through her family, and this is her way of saying, while this is religious, this is a huge commercialization of the Kaaba. You see all of this merchandising and color and whatnot associated with what is supposed to be a very pure and religious experience.
So she actually paints them on a
tiny, and then blows them up, so that she's manipulating.
It's Rembrandt-esque.
Yeah, I mean, she is definitely one to watch. She's somebody in Massachusetts, and she's designed a mural that's on the side of the Gardner Museum right now, because they invited contemporary artists in. So she's somebody that people are paying attention to. All
right, so how political is this? I mean, I wouldn't want to be on the committee that has to decide who makes the cut.
Well, I think this is one of the less discussed parts of biennials. And of course, the Whitney Biennial is the one that everybody uses as a benchmark, at least in the United States.
That's nutty stuff.
But there's a lot of campaigning. So it's very interesting that Lexi Lee Sullivan, who is the curator here, she went out very secretly and did a lot of studio visits, and she worked earlier on in the process. So when she was out working, people didn't necessarily know why she was there and that she was actually working on the biennial. Eventually, word filtered out. But she told me it is very hard, because people will figure out who she is, and there will be campaigning.
Lobbying.
There's lobbying, and there's a lot of frustration in the end. It's very polarizing, because you have one institution deciding what is the best of the new.
And does it make or break these artists if they decide to include them?
I don't think it necessarily breaks them, but it certainly can make them. I mean, it adds so much to their resume to be able to say that they've been shown in an institution like the DeCordova. So that's why you see all of this lobbying and all the politicking.
And what I mean, looking ahead, I mean, is there a trend here?
It's funny, I asked her, I mean, I was the one
Yeah.
who noticed the trend about humor. She said the only trend that she saw was plaid, which was kind of interesting.
What?
I know, it's kind of funny, but I think what you see is a break in the new right now. And it's a little bit refreshing, and you can see very disparate pieces of art between painting and sculpture, and performance art, and murals that are done specifically for the DeCordova, because you also have to remember that they invite these artists in, and a lot of times they're working specifically for the museum, creating specifically for this show. So it is of the moment.
All right, Jared, great. That was interesting. All right.